pony gnarly by. Oh, better. I got a place where winning ain't tough to do. You wanna be cool, stable do. Your horse racing fantasy come true. But no, stable do.
Download the Stable Duel app and play today.
Oh, we're back with this weekend in Stable Duel when we are so consistent every week. When there's just 1 or 2 weeks of an interruption, it feels like forever. Fellas, so happy to be back with you on Friday. Gino Bacola alongside Matt DeSantis and the sniper, Barry Spears. Matt, how you doing, buddy? As we're making a transition right now, right? It's sort of like moving on from some certain tracks that we got really familiar with and played a lot, and we'll be moving into the summer tracks in a few weeks. Saratoga will open up. Del Mar will be a focus for us on a lot of these shows throughout the summer. But this weekend will be kind of fun because we'll get to dive back into Gulfstream Park a little bit. And I think Thistledown is going to join the party. They have the Ohio Derby and some big stakes races out there.
They do. And an exciting day at Thistledown. I think a really nice Ohio Derby card, to be honest with you. You know, a lot of names that people, if they've been following the Derby trail, you know, are going to recognize, which is, you know, always good for name recognition. Some nice races on the undercard as well. Some nice fillies actually underneath with Army Wife and a few others and some of those races ahead of time. So, you know, I think it's an exciting time. I always like going around to new tracks, seeing new horses, you know, coming in, or seeing horses that we're familiar with shipping into different places. So always an exciting time this time of year.
And our buddy Barry went back to the streets where he began. What was life like?
Literally.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, being on the road, you know, it's always different when you come home and you sleep in your own bed, and you know,
right?
I was just ready to come home. You know, I had enough of being out there in the Midwest, and did swing by Arlington just to see what was going on over there. The place looks untouched, to be honest with you. It looks great.
Right back up right now, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's get it rolling.
Yeah, let's go. We're ready.
Go. Okay, so we'll start the Kickstarter fund, the GoFundMe, and for the That's What G Said, and the stable in a few years we'll be there. We'll
buy it. Let's do
we'll
it.
just take care of it. No problem. But
get Breed to up the pots a little bit. You know, we can start making a little bit more in these contests, and we'll be ready to roll.
In order to do so, we got to make some money today. That's what's very, very important. So, like always, we'll be dishing out some plays for Friday and for Saturday. We want to make sure that we're giving you plays that are going to help you in your contest. So, we're always going to be looking for some prices. We're in the no chalk zone here, and we're going to go through Gulfstream Park for Friday. Matt's got a few for Penn National for Friday. Then we'll dive into Gulfstream Saturday and some Thistledown Saturday. So, kick back and enjoy. We're taking a look at our daily racing form past performances. We're able to find so much great information there as we look at these Gulfstream Park past performances. We're like one click away from finding out pedigree information. You know, one click and there you can find out about each horse's dam and their direct siblings and their family tree. You can compare the dams very quickly and see how they've all done and where they excel with what particular runners. You're one click from race replays. You're one click from the charts. You can see exactly who everybody has faced, how they've come out of their races. Just a wealth of information over at drf.com. I always love to jump into the formulator PPs, and we're going to jump into Gulfstream Park for Friday. Sniper, I'm in 5, 6, and 9 on Friday. Where are you, my friend?
5, 6, 7, and 9.
Oh, we're going to have a lot of similarities today. Here we go. Okay, race number 5. Tell me where you want to go first, buddy.
Yeah, this is you know, one of those low-level claimers that I love so much. I mean, honestly, I do. That's not being sarcastic. A lot of people don't like these kind of races, but they're usually bigger fields and a lot of chaos, especially on the synthetic. So we got a 20,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime here, and you know, it's just hard to pick favorites in these kinds of races, no matter what you do, or at least for me, because they don't necessarily always stand out, and you're not going to get like an overwhelming favorite that's just going to be able to bottom out this field. You know, somebody that's just overmatches everyone here, and there's nothing like that in this race. I ended up going with number 9, Know When to Fold 'Em.
Nice.
I think this horse had some races to go back to on the synthetic at the same distance. The debut, which he just missed with IRAD aboard back in March, was a really, really good race. Came back out of that one on the turf and won. Subsequently jumped up in class to option claimer 16,000 and didn't really run that bad. Just didn't, probably wasn't, a little bit outclassed there, but drops into this spot. And I think this is the right place for this horse. Also getting blinkers on for the first time. De La Cerda is very good on the synthetic. So I think it's go time. 12-1. I don't think that's what you're going to get, but for stable do purposes, 12-1 is great for us.
Yeah. You got to know when to hold up. I've been working on my country music a little bit more recently because over at Louisiana Downs, Toby Keith has the Dream Walking Farms running a lot. So every now and then I got to throw in like, I wish I didn't know now when I didn't know. So I've been
got to get that deep voice going.
Yeah, I've been in the country zone
a little bit
more lately. So
are you a bass? Are you a bass or
for me,
soprano?
No, that's unfortunately the problem. I go the opposite way when people are like, was that a guy? Was that a guy singing or was that a girl? We couldn't really tell the difference. So for me, I'm going to go same race. And what do we always do when we attack the same race? It's because, like Barry said, it's a race that looks ripe for a price horse, maybe an interesting outside the box horse. I'm looking at the 4 Be Naughty With Me. So they're going to be going 1.70 miles here. I don't know how far she really wants to go, but she does have 2 direct siblings that one going long, which is what I was sort of talking about. You can click on the pedigree and notice that you've got a couple of siblings here who have actually won going longer. So going longer could be fine for this horse when there's a little bit of breeding that says they shouldn't have a problem going long. So positive there for Be Naughty With Me. And then when we dive into her races, so in her debut, she wins. She's on the synthetic. She's going 5 furlongs. In her second start, she steps up into a 16 starter allowance. She runs into a horse named Gitana. And this is a horse who came back and won their next start by 4 lengths. So pretty impressive here. And then in career start number 3, there were actually 3 next out winners in this race. It was a 12-5 non-2. So this race may look like it's a little bit tougher, but it's kind of comparable because it's a beaten claimer. It's a restricted claimer. So it's basically a non-winners of 2 the same. There's a 3-year-old that's a 2-time winner in here in the 2. So in the third start, you get, the 3 next out winners. You get Turn It On, Cherokee Chatter, Our Love on the Run, all come back to win in their next start. I think it's just a good spot for Be Naughty With Me. You're going to be more forwardly placed. She actually showed that she can pass. Like she came from off the pace a little bit and had to pass, but she seems like she just likes the synthetic a little bit better. She's not going to be, a whole lot in your stable duel 1,000 at 10-1. And anytime I hear the word naughty, it reminds me of Tommy Boy, right? The scene with Chris Farley. And he says, I don't know what I do. I get and I love my pet and I stroke him and he's naughty. He's a naughty little pet. You're naughty. And then I go, anytime I see that word, I'm immediately transformed. And I got to give a shout out to Chris Farley, one of the all-time great comedians. I always get sad thinking about what he would have been doing now. He would have transitioned perfectly into like the lovable dad role. He would have been on sitcoms like the dad falling over and everybody like he just would have had a great transition into later life in comedy. So shout out to that naughty pet of Chris Farley's. Hopefully we can get a little naughty in race number 5. Be Naughty With Me. Barry, I'm moving to the 6. You said you got one here too, right? Okay. So race number 6.
Sniper always plays the doubles. You got it.
We always go back to back. I'll start this one and I'll go to the outside with Dominican Ice. So Dominican Ice on May 21st, I always like when you can see the running lines are a little deceiving because one thing I've learned is that if you watch the races, you can actually find out a little bit more than if you just read the running lines that people write for you.
Dominican Ice.
Some people don't agree, but that's fine. Nonetheless, Dominican Ice doesn't look like they broke on top here, but the 8 Dominican Ice actually breaks on top here. And then what ends up happening, 4 others to the inside all want the lead. So look, the eight's the fastest, but now everybody else kind of gets hustled inside. So you're not going to gun this horse to try to get right up and battle with everybody else. But now in a race where there may not be as much speed, this is a horse that's a little bit intriguing to me. So breaks on top, 4 others to the inside all want the lead. He actually ends up working his way all the way up to second here, but he's pretty wide. And the horse who ends up winning and drawing off to win is Positive Review, who's the 3 to 5 favorite. Just kind of gets the jump on him there. I didn't think this was a bad effort from Dominican Ice. I feel like he should be sitting second or third. He's going to go second start off the 4.5-month break. So, you know, he gets all the way up into second here before fading and finishing third. Probably needed this race, got a little bit tired. Like, he kind of ran the type of race that I'm looking for from him, like a chasing type race. Now, smaller field, he's probably going to sit second, I think, behind Smoking Bow. And look at who he's run into in some of his races. White Abarrio to start. You know, we're going to see White Abarrio this weekend. He's going to be one of the favorites in the Ohio Derby over at Thistledown. He runs into Emmanuel in his third start, who we've seen come back for Todd Pletcher. Emmanuel came back and ran in the Bluegrass, was fourth, and won the Pennant Ridge when he was on the turf for the first time. I mean, so he's actually run, you know, you start digging through some of his races. Okay, his debut, he runs into White Abarrio. He comes back, he runs second, like a pretty good second, a pretty good third. Then he runs into Emmanuel, so he gets trounced. Then the December 26th race, that's right when the meet starts, right, Barry? The championship meet? Isn't, I think,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So those races are a little bit tougher. You know, he runs into a horse named American Icon, who was a nice Pletcher horse, who won their debut that day, came back and finished second to In Due Time. Third place finisher in this race was Happy Boy Rocket, who went on and was only, you know, was under 10-1 in the Tampa Bay Derby off that maiden win. So he's run, you know, this horse came back and ran third in that Oaklawn Stakes race too, behind Homebrew. We saw Homebrew just crush a field over at Monmouth Park this weekend. He's one that you do a little digging, you do a little archaeology, you know, a little fossilizing, and you can find some positives here. Dominican Ice, the number 76 to 1 on the morning line, only going to cost you 3,000 in your stable dual lineup. So 7 in race 6 for me. Barry, I know you wanted me to go to the rail with Italian American, but I couldn't do it. I know I couldn't do
I'm
it.
shocked. I'm shocked, actually.
You tell me where we're headed right here.
You know, this race, I just kind of went to a first-time starter just by attrition. I didn't really like anybody that's won already. Won. They haven't won yet.
Run.
That have run already. You know, it was really strange because I did almost pick Dominican Ice, but I noticed that the horse just never gets bet for whatever reason.
Which is
never, ever. I mean, maybe that one time back in November, but it was just weird. And I looked at a bunch of that horse's races, and he kind of does the same thing every time. So it kind of turned me off a little bit. I would say that probably is my second choice in this race, but I went with number 4, Wheat Sheaf. And I know people are looking at the PPs and like, why would you pick this horse? Well, I think the key is the rider that's riding this horse.
Yep.
I mean, you have to believe that the intent of David Dwyer is to have this horse on the lead. There's not much speed in here. I'm not really sold on Dominican Ice, even though that horse tends to break really well, just doesn't go on with it and kind of runs in the middle of the race. So if somebody can get out in front and kind of back them up a little bit, they might not need to go all that fast and still win this race. I mean, a horse like Smoking Bow, who he's just got second-itis.
I don't like him at all.
I don't like him at all, and he's 8 to 5 here,
Yeah.
and I would definitely play against him, and that's why I kind of went downfield. I mean, the one you could say has really good pedigree, but has the rail.
Draws the rail, short price. You start eliminating, right?
Right.
You go through everyone and just start eliminating them, and now there end up being a couple that you're like, they sort of fit. You know, they got upside.
Right, and this horse has a steady work tab going back to February, so I think this horse is probably in shape. It's just a matter of getting out to the lead, and I'm willing to take a shot here at 15 to 1.
I like that because when you get the live rider, hungry rider, right? He just came back. right? Didn't just he didn't he just
No,
third? Or
that's Zayas.
Zayas,
This is
okay.
Hamarillo.
Thank you.
But he's just a speed rider. I mean, he's just
Hamarillo,
pure.
yeah, because I was reading about Zayas too. He is, especially at this point of the meet, when the championship meet isn't going on, like this is domination time. And this is like you said, when you have a barn like we look at who doesn't have a whole lot of runners, right? And you get one of the bigger jocks to jump aboard at a horse who's going to be a big price. They're not riding these horses for no reason. Right?
I hope
they're
not.
They're not jumping on a horse that they don't think has at least like a small chance. This horse is 15 to 1 and is not going to cost you anything in your stable dual lineup. $500. Like you can really do some building once you get this in there. So a nice first time starter. And again, we're attacking races 5 and 6 because we both think the favorites are vulnerable and the short prices aren't anything that we're all that scared of. So 5, 6, you said you've got 7?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
3 in a row. I'm gonna be in race 9. So race number 7 for the Sniper. We got a 12-5 starter allowance, 7 furlongs on the dirt. Who are you looking at here, Barry?
Almost same sort of situation where I don't like the favorite and don't get cozy the 6. I've watched this horse run plenty. I mean, almost probably I'd say every race from December 4th going on, and I saw this horse run in person 5 times. So I'm used to seeing this horse just clunk up late, get a piece,
earn
but
some
not
money.
win. Right. And you see how many times in the PPs that this horse has been favored.
And here's the hungry rider
deliver.
that I was just talking about, Zayas.
I mean, I'd ride this horse too, but I just don't think this horse is going to win today.
and not at 6 to 5 in a stable dual lineup, right? No way are you going to want to pay up for this type of horse.
Right. And then, beyond that horse, there's really not much speed. I mean, you have the horse inside of Don't Get Cozy, Awesome Anne Marie, who has a similar running style. The 4 is pretty much a toss out. Our Fantasy just doesn't like to win races either, but has some speed. But lately, that hasn't been this horse's best move. It's been kind of coming off the pace a little bit. Starry Hope, you can kind of say that horse has speed, but I still think the one, my pick here, probably has the best speed.
Yeah.
And speed on the rail at Gulfstream is the place to be. No question about it on the dirt. And this horse has everything going for it. I'm going to go with Simplify at 8 to 1.
Yeah, because you start going race by race, right? Like last time out, we just talked about Gitana. Gitana was a horse who won back-to-back races, right? So you run into a sharp horse who had won 2 in a row last time, and then you start digging the races that he doesn't run or she doesn't run all that well, or races where she battles or she can't get the lead because they're going pretty quick. Didn't get the lead from the rail on the synthetic going 5.5, but then battles here, runs pretty well, finishing behind Next Out, winning Demo Wonder. Battles here, like just consistently showing speed, and with the rail draw, it's going to force your hand a little bit, which I think is a blessing in disguise.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Sort of what you want. You'd rather. I love that sometimes with the horses who I want on the lead. I don't mind if they're way inside or way outside, because then you sort of know like they got to go, right? And it kind of complements what you hope for their angle. So Simplify on the lead. Let's make it super simple for the Sniper from the inside. I was thinking, can I get any more? A Simple Plan was a group that I used to listen to and sing. I could probably go if we wanted to, but tangents aside, we'll move along to race number 9. We're going to finish up Friday Gulfstream. Then we'll head over. Matt's got a few for us, I believe, at Penn National for Friday. Then we'll turn the page.
We landed on the same horse in this race.
Did we? You think so?
In the 9th, yeah. I got a feeling.
Okay, because I'm going in race number 9.
Oh.
And I said, hey. It's funny. I got a text like a second ago. I didn't realize it was from Stephanie, my girlfriend in the other room. And she said, no country singing allowed. She's not a country fan. So she was shooting me down just a few minutes ago. So what's going on? And I say, hey. I was like, I didn't even have to get creative with this one. When I looked down on there, I said, I knew right away where I was going to go. I think with this one, we just key off the synthetic sprints, right? We're going 5.5 here on the synthetic. This is a horse who's a little softer and is going to be stepping up in class. But I think you see these horses that step up sometimes on the synthetic, and the levels aren't quite as deep as you might see on the dirt or on the turf. These horses that like the surface can jump up and win and beat a little bit better horses, or maybe classier horses, where the surface, I think, can be the equalizer. So when you look at his synthetic sprints, her synthetic sprints, those are the keys. I'm tossing the race, the first 2 races. She debuts against maiden specials. Then she's in against maiden 50s going long on the synthetic. Then she's on the dirt against maiden 35s. Once she hits the synthetic in February, going 5, a good second. They try the turf, don't like the turf, come right back to the synthetic. Again, a good second. Another second on the synthetic, just missed, finally put it all together. What I like is the draw and the way that she can sit just a little bit. So she's got speed. There's a couple others to her inside that might show a little bit more speed. So I think she can break and then sit maybe third, just like we've seen from her. She's 8-1. She's only going to cost us 3,000. I think she's the type that could really hang around nicely for a slice, at least pick you up maybe like a top 3 placing or so and stay in a stable duel situation where it's only going to cost you 3,000. I think she falls into a really good trip. So I say, hey,
and wasn't this horse in
What's Going On?
Yeah,
right?
What's Going On is the other. It was the name of the other horse, and they finished like 1-2, I want to say, or something like that.
Yeah, they were. So we've had some fun with this one before, and we will see where Barry wants to take us in race number 9, my friend.
I had the same idea, but the other horse. I'm going with Hamarillo again. With number 2, Grace leads us home.
Yep.
For the same reasons. I just think that this one might get the jump on everybody and be able to finish.
Mm-hmm.
The horses that will be behind, like a horse like Strategy Queen, coming off a little bit of a layoff. For Safi is probably going to attract a lot of attention and probably get bet down to favoritism. Has some races against some stiffer competition, but this horse hasn't really been able to deliver. I mean, but the switch to synthetic is okay. But had that being said, I think this horse can get the jump on everybody. Again, speed rider, cutting back in distance, going to the synthetic for the first time. I think all systems are go here. This is where they want to be.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm paying more attention to Louisiana recently and watching those races a lot more. Like, I know some of these horses from Fairgrounds that she was behind. The only time she wasn't on the lead was behind this horse named Drop Dead Sexy. She
Super
is
fast.
Yeah. She's really fast.
Yeah.
She came back and aired at Louisiana a few weeks ago when she got the lead. She won by 7, and she can fly. So that's sort of sneaky. This horse, Royal O'Hagan, who was 3rd, she's not bad either. Like, she's a nice little Louisiana bred. So she was in a decent stakes, or she was in a decent race. This horse came back and ran well too. So just sort of, you might look at those races at Louisiana or at Fairgrounds and think, oh, Louisiana bred wasn't in all the tough and then got beat at Gulfstream here by first level allowance. There's a little something there. If you're playing any type of exotics, if you're playing the stable duel lineup, I would not talk you off this horse. I definitely would not talk you off using the horse in any sort of late pick 4, late pick 5 like that. So Friday, Gulfstream Park, a couple from Barry, a couple from myself, as we shift the focus on to Penn National. You got a couple over there for us, right, Maddie?
Yeah. We Penn National on Friday. We got the free contest as well as the $75 game in the stable duel. So
free?
We got, exactly. Everybody likes free. So
exactly.
if you're a beginner, you just don't want to spend it. Don't want to have much money to spend. You want to play the free one, go for it. If you want to go big and go with the $75 game, feel free. I got you a couple plays here in race 5 and
Matt,
6.
like you said before you jump on in, you were getting to like a really good point, because I like to reiterate, if you're someone who's watched these streams, or you've seen me or Matt or Barry or some people out there post about Stable Duel, but you've never really gotten involved, these free contests are the perfect time to take a shot. Right?
Absolutely.
You see what it's all about. You see if you like the format. You see if you understand. Maybe you ask a couple questions about it. Yep. Or on the flip side, if you're like someone who plays a little bit more and you're a bigger player, maybe you can test out a little bit different strategy. Right? You generally always do things one way, but like, hey, maybe let's try this. If it doesn't work and I finish last, who cares? I didn't have to spend anything. It was like a total free roll, and you take a shot, right? So I kind of use these like that. Sometimes I'll test things out a little bit differently, or I'll try to let people know, hey, If you haven't played in one of these yet, it's free. You can actually win some money. And
Yeah.
I guarantee if you play one of these once or twice, you're going to have fun with it if you're a horse racing fan, especially if you're like a fantasy sports player. This is going to be right up your alley. So perfect time to take a shot over at Penn.
Yep, absolutely. No, it really is, and it's a fun way to kind of get more people involved. And like you said, you can win real money doing it. And Stable Duel is great because they typically give you at least 2 free rides every single week. So at different tracks, whether it's Gulfstream, Penn National. Yesterday, I think it was at Delaware Park. So they're bouncing all over. So no matter where your home track might be, there's a good chance that there's going to be a free ride there. But tonight at Penn National, we're going to go to race 5 first, which is $25,000 optional claimer starter allowance for 3-year-olds and up, 1 mile on the dirt. And I'm going to go to the number 2 horse, Spartak, at 6-1 for $5,000. This is a horse that, I think this is a horse that you can kind of explain the last 2 efforts. And if you look at those last 2, you can explain why this horse did not run particularly well. One, the 2 races ago was in the slop, didn't run particularly well. The last race was going 12 furlongs. Horse has never run that long before in its career.
And you see, and what I like even more about that, pointing that out, is you see him show early interest and then just back up, right?
Yeah.
So for a horse that doesn't want to go 1.5 miles, that's exactly what you would expect. Just
exactly.
Get involved in the race, back up, tired. Didn't seem like anything was wrong or anything, right? Just can't go that far.
Yeah,
I don't want to go I don't want to go 1.5 miles to on a walk. So I don't blame Spartak for not wanting to run 1.5 miles.
Exactly. So, but if you look at the horse's form prior to those 2 races, pretty solid. And this was a horse, the previous 5 starts had finished in the money, all 5 of those starts, with a win, 2 seconds, 2/3. So really competitive. I can't help but think if you kind of cross a line through those last 2, this horse would probably be a little bit shorter price actually in this particular race, because those speed figures of mid 70s, which he was popping up those last few starts before those last 2, would really be very comparable with where
he looks a little better right there, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, you just, so I think there's a reason you can kind of cross those off. I also think this race sets up really nicely. So the 3 and the 6, and the 3 is an interesting horse at a price as well. But the 3 and the 6 are both stretching out basically for the first time, and they're going to be on the lead. These are sprint horses. And the 6 has tried to route once before and backed up, on the lead, kind of got worn out. I would expect the same thing to happen. I think this sets up nicely for Spartak to sit behind that pace. We'll have some pace to run into in this particular race. I know this horse doesn't win much, just 2 for 37, but very consistent, 21 for 37 in the money. So this is a horse that, again, if you're looking for something that's consistent in a race where maybe there's not a lot to love, I think Spartak makes a lot of sense at 6-1 for $5,000. I think you can feel confident you're going to get a really honest effort out of this horse.
This is my type of a horse too, Matt. When you do the date like that, I love horses that's form in their recent races just looks awful.
Yeah.
Right. That's the type of horses who I love, because I know so many people will immediately look at them and be like, no, just right away. Like beat 10 or 12 and like don't even make time to give them an excuse or a reason. So
and the other thing is, this horse, if you look, this horse changed barns a few, about 5-6 races ago. And what I liked was the horse did have success in the new barn. And then just recently, when they, the slop and stretching out did
worked up a few times.
Exactly.
And then a few legit excuses.
Exactly. After. So I like all those things for Spartak in the spot. And like I said, you compare those, mid 70s buyers figures to, the other horses in this field, and it's right there, and should be able to turn in a really good effort.
So I wonder if they're going to try to get any speed out of this horse, who just went 34 in a 3 furlong.
Yeah, you think?
You know what I mean? They just went 34 in a 3 furlong work on June the 17th. So I'd imagine this horse will be flashing a little bit of a bit of early
and the three's a natural sprint horse too, that's stretching out for the first time from 6 to a mile. So there's gonna be speed for him to run into in this race. So
should be sitting a nice trip there in the 5th at Penny Nats. Where else you want to head, Matty?
We'll go to the right next door, gonna, steal a page from Sniper to play that double. And so we'll go to race 6, which is a $16,000 optional claimer starter allowance for 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2, 6 furlongs on the dirt. And I actually will give out 2 horses in this race because this is only an 8-race card, so you're going to have to double up in a couple of spots and to fill out your stable duel lineup with the 10 horses, obviously. So I'll give you both the 2 and the 7. They're both 8-1. They're both going to cost you $3,000. So a little bit of value in both. With the 2, as luck would have it, this is all about the cutback. This is a horse, again, the last 2 starts, they just got, I think the new barn maybe just got a little greedy and wanted to try to stretch this horse out. And this horse does not want to be stretched out. And the horse didn't run terribly in those 2 efforts. A 3rd and a 4th place finish was perfectly fine, but those were very small fields as well. And so when you look, when this horse is sprinting, which it'll be doing on Friday night, 3 for 4 hitting the board, a win in 2 seconds. So pretty strong. Again, if you cross out those last 2 efforts, I have a hard time thinking this horse is 8-1 based off of its first 4 starts. If this was going into this race, that I have to think those last 2 efforts are part of the reason this horse just was not, is a little bit higher on the morning line, which you can take advantage of. Like I said, I think the trainer just got a little too aggressive, but like I said, with the 2, it's all about the cutback. Yeah. With the 7, it's interesting. This is a horse where I did a little bit of pedigree digging, and this is a horse that is, I think it's all about kind of the performance that it had in the maiden, because when it broke its maiden, that's a great effort. And if it can replicate that effort, which it has not yet, but if it can replicate that effort, we're really onto something here with this horse, because this horse then, after breaking its maiden, basically took a 4.5, 5-month layoff and just kind of didn't run a step coming back, and then comes back again in an allowance and just doesn't really run well. Now we're taking a little bit of a step down and to an optional claimer this time out at a little bit of a lower price. So maybe a little bit of an easier spot. Here's the thing I actually like about Sassy Lady, or Sassy Lad, I should say, is that his brother, so his dam has produced one other offspring, and Beyond the Bend. And if you look, Beyond the Bend had almost the exact same start to his career that Sassy Lad has had. Broke its maiden second time out, then goes and runs 2 clunkers, and then kind of finds his sweet spot and kind of finds this is where I need to run, and has turned into a pretty nice sprint horse. And 6 career wins, and is made well over $100,000, and has kind of turned in a lot of honest performances. Yeah. So I just thought seeing that in the pedigree made me go, okay, maybe there's something here. That I shouldn't be so turned off by those 2 kind of poor efforts coming back from the layoff. And like I said, this horse, when it was able to flash its potential in that maiden, really showed something, and that 62 or 63 buyer would be well enough to win in this spot. So, like I said, the 2 and the 7 just both were intriguing to me. Maybe you want to go with one, maybe you want to use both as a way of saving up some money in the Penn National game. Like I said, 10 horses, only 8 races, so you're going to have to double up in some spots. Some nice ways to save money there.
For Friday, as we turn the page. So you're done. Those are
my plays for Friday.
So we're going to turn the page on over to Gulfstream Saturday and Thistledown Saturday. Want to remind everybody and let you know what that schedule looks like. We can share the stable duel schedule for Friday real quick. These are all the options you have for today. So make sure to get involved. Gulfstream Park, Laurel, Monmouth, and Penn National. We just gave you a little help at Gulfstream for the bigger players. And then at Penn National, you can get involved in that free ride or the $75 double up. So that's today over at Stable Duel. We're now going to head into Saturday. My man Sniper or Matt. Matt, you have a Saturday Gulfstream too, right? You said?
No, I just have Thistledown.
Just Thistledown. Okay, yeah. So Sniper, I'm on races 10 and 11 on Saturday at Gulfstream.
Wow, where are you? I'm early, 1 and 6.
1 and 6. So
I was stepping all over Sniper's Gulfstream plays last week, and so that's why I'm backing off. Sniper's back, and I didn't want to. Hey, listen, it's
you didn't want to get.
I gotta let Florida man do Florida things. I gotta say that.
was gonna say that's his street corner right there.
Exactly.
This is the wire right here.
Right?
Don't go mess with his street corner.
I will stick.
Marlo
to
is gonna. Marlo
Midwest
will get
plays.
at you right now. Stringer Bell. Stringer Bell runs that ship over there. He's coming to get you.
I
You
love
stay
it.
away from Florida.
Oh,
Barry,
indeed.
yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Great reference.
Barry, you let us know. So race 1, you said at Gulfstream on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, it's a main special weight on the Tapeta or Tapeta. I don't know how people say it. I say Tapeta, but
that's what I say.
I think
too.
it's like debatable. Debatable.
Ketchup. You know, you can do it either way. I don't know.
Yeah. I've never heard anybody say ketchup. By the way,
I know.
Just saying.
Have you seen that Simpsons? Did you ever see that Simpsons with Mr. Burns? Yeah. That's what that's from. Where he walks into the store for the first time. He's never been shopping, and he's looking at the two of them, and he's holding up there. Ketchup, catsup, ketchup, catsup, and he just sort of shrugs his shoulders and just moves on. So, race number 1, Barry. Talk to us a little bit about this one.
I ended up going with number 10, Harry's on the Fly, and this horse is kin to a horse by the name of Harry's on the Loose, who has some pretty decent synthetic and turf sprint form. Mm-hmm. This horse has run some bang-up races in the past. You can see down the handicap. He's kind of right. He's always knocking at the door. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a tough luck sort of horse. He gets in the right spot and kind of, just misses a lot.
Good horse to own, though, right?
Like, yeah, absolutely. He's always cashing checks.
Yeah,
always cashing checks, man. I mean, what more could you want, other than winning? I mean, but that's just a bettor's conundrum. So, with Harry's on the Fly, this horse doesn't have too many workouts, but they're all pretty decent on the synthetic. But just knowing that he has a sibling that has run well on this surface. And, these could be any kind. I like the outside draw. And I think this horse may have a little bit of ability and may have a little bit of an edge with the horse, that they bred prior to that has some synthetic form. And I'll take that if, for 8-1. In a race that's probably a little bit more wide open. I don't know how anybody could make a line on this race. Nobody's run. I mean, you could have some horse that gets some steam, but geez, I mean, I'll take this shot with a somewhat known quantity.
Some of these first-time starter races, don't you feel like they should just say no line available?
No line.
No line. And it's just however you bet them, it's going to open up and it's going to go. And shout out to one of my all-time favorite movies, Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh boy!
Oh yeah,
you remember that bet with John Lithgow? Yeah. Oh, that's a great movie. It's one with me when I was young. The movies that I loved, you could tell how much I loved a movie by how destroyed the VHS cover was. The movie came in. Like like the smaller and smaller it was, where it's just like this one little strand of like paper that's left. That case was destroyed. I loved me some Harry and the Hendersons. Used to watch that one all the time. So Barry, you said you've got one more a little earlier on in the card, right? And then I'm going to go deep. And I'm going to go later. Did you say race 5?
Race 6.
6. Okay. Tell us
it's
about
another maiden race, a state-bred maiden race.
Nice.
I mean, opportunities in maiden races are gold because you could get a horse that's good, that's pretty good, or will end up being pretty good, get beat first time out, or in a maiden race, and you get decent prices a lot. So that's why I like those kind of races. But I ended up on number 9, Conrado. For George Delgado and Luis Reyes. Now, this horse was bet to favoritism in his first start back in May 27th and didn't have a great start. I don't know if you can pull that up.
Yep.
Didn't have the best of starts and kind of, what I call the Pepe Le Pew, where they just kind of bounce around the track and don't really do much.
He's the 4 on the head-on that we're watching. You can't see it quite as well there. He gets bumped. Let's put it on the straight up, but it's definitely not a great start. What's up, Pete?
Yeah,
how we doing?
It wasn't ideal. I mean, for a horse that was favored, just kind of just bounced out of there and got in a little trouble early, and kind of just again, like, I have no other way to describe this but the Pepe Le Pew, because
Yeah.
he just bounces around. Right
And there
there
we
is
go,
where
right
he
there,
gets
that's
in
the
the
steady, yeah.
trouble, and then he kind of just packs it in and does the up and down thing to finish the race off. But this trainer is very gaudy numbers with second time starters. He's 24%. He's actually 24% on the year too. Has a nice work since, and I think you're going to see a much improved effort this time around.
I do too.
And the experience edge coming out of that race should help this horse
And this is,
astronomically, and I think he's just the one to beat here.
this is a good find. He should be like 7-2 in here.
That's probably
Right?
what he's going to be on
And
the
if
board,
he is,
or
yeah.
4-1 ish.
And if he is, like, he should be right here with the other group of horses that are like in that range, and you're going to be getting an awesome value for your stable duel lineup. You're
Yeah,
paying for
absolutely.
a
I
horse
mean,
that's, probably twice the price of what he will be or should be come post time.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but beating favorites in maiden races that come back, they usually run very, very well.
Yes.
If not win a lot. So, it's usually just having that one race experience can make all the difference, and I think that's the case here.
I mean, he had a legitimate excuse. We saw what happened. He didn't get away alertly, and then instead of maybe being in front or being just more comfortable, he was across the track with those three other horses he was trying to shove to sit in that spot, and then he got squeezed out of the spot. So
right. It looked like a horse that was running for the first time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we'll get a lot out of those type of races, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
That's like 10 workouts coming out of that
Absolutely.
one race. You can't get that type of like experience in the morning. So Conrado for Barry in race number 6. That's the number 9. I'll head a little later on the card with a couple more at Gulfstream Park. I'm going to go to race number 10. This is the synthetic stakes race that's called the Powder Break. I'm going to go to a horse who's stepping up and is in a little bit tough here, but I'm always thinking that the synthetic surface can possibly be the equalizer. So I'm looking at Conundrum Queen here, who debuts. Now, this is a filly who, when you go through her 6-race career, they thought enough of her to debut at Saratoga, first time out of the box, and she's only 9-1, right? In a field of 10. At full field at Saratoga, she's getting a little bit of money right out of the box. And then she's sent to the bench from August of 2020 to March of 2021. So some sort of physical issue. She comes back. She shows back up in March. She doesn't show back up till February. So we're talking like probably some really major physical issues in her first 2 starts that send her to long, long layoffs. She comes back and she takes a pretty sizable drop in class to the maiden $25,000 claimers. I think there may have been an issue, right? And they wanted to just, hey, we've had this horse already for a while. She's only run twice. Let's get her in a spot and maybe have her feel good about it. She runs very well. She finishes second. She comes right back and she wins. And then they put her on a synthetic race and she wins really, really nicely. She continues to step up. She beats a 16 starter allowance group. And what I love about her is just the way that she kind of projects. And she's going to probably be sitting third in here. Like, I'm looking at the way this race shapes up on paper. And I think to the outside, you probably have Grand Avenue Girl going. And you probably have the 7 Sugar Fix forwardly placed. I think this horse could sit right behind him and at least maybe just fall into a really nice spot, not get outrun. Does she have the class as some of the others? Maybe not right now, but I think they might have thought she was supposed to, initially. So maybe she can get back there. The one thing I think we've all learned watching horses and watching racing, nothing's linear. Everyone doesn't have the same path, right? It's not always A plus B equals C. You see horses that go up and down and back up and back. That could have been a little pornographic there.
Hey,
But you guys know what I was. You know what I was talking about. The class ladder is what I was up and to get your minds out of the gutters, folks. I was talking about going up the class ladder and down the class ladder. That's what we were saying. So in the Powder Break, I think Conundrum Queen sits a really nice spot there. So that's race number 10. I've got one more for you because I this is what happens when you start hanging out with people more often. You start talking like them a little bit. You start doing the things that they do. So I'm going to do the Barry with the back-to-back here, the straight daily double. And I'm going to race number 11, and I'm going to the number 6 in here, Sir Ollie. Now, Sir Ollie, if you look at this field, like at first glance, you'd look at Sir Ollie and think, oh yeah, he probably wants to be forwardly placed. He's kind of quick, but he actually doesn't. He's actually better when he can sit off a little bit. And look at this field going a mile. The 1 is really quick and is coming off of a long layoff. So I think they're going to probably be fresh and want to go from the rail. The 2 is really quick. I think they're going to be right there on the lead or very, very close to it. Ran into Thomas Shelby last time out, who's very fast. That's why they didn't get the lead there. The 3, Brasstown, really, really quick. Doesn't really like to sit off and pass horses either. So they're better when they're on the front end. I'd imagine they are going to be shoved and forwardly placed. The 4, American Prince, really, really fast. Going to be either right on the lead or just off. When tried to sit, didn't really work out as well. I think they're going to be right on the lead. Tune in. Does it sound a little weird, guys? Fast, right on the lead. I think another one who's going to be right on the lead. And this is a horse who, you look at, he can actually sit. And that's what ended up happening in his last start. The 2 horses, Willie Boy and King Cab, he was behind Chivalry too. That was actually a decent little stakes race that he was in. Those 3 horses, I think they're just a little bit better than him, honestly.
Very good race.
And and those 2, Willie Boy and King Cab, like those are your betting favorites in that race, So he couldn't get to the top 2 who basically were 1-2 all the way around and are really nice horses. So I feel like he's going to end up sitting a really nice spot in here in a race that's just jam-packed with speed. I'm a G6. He's not quite as quick, but he's going to be forwardly placed. So I think a lot of these horses want to go, and he actually can end up tracking pretty nicely. He's been really consistent overall in his career. He hasn't done a whole lot wrong. I feel like Sir Ollie ends up getting a really nice trip. I like that he's drawn towards the outside too, so that should help his chances to sit a little bit. Let's hope that Sir Ollie can come from off the pace in race number 11.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot.
Park.
I like this pick a lot because it's not always about the speed figures, and sometimes it's about the trip that the horse is going to get. And this one should be sitting perfect. I mean, even if only, let's say, 2 of these horses end up going for the lead, still has enough speed to be close enough to take over the
in striking range.
Exactly, and should avoid trouble that way too. So, I like this pick for you.
Sir Ollie with the Barry endorsement as we finish up.
Get the stamp.
Sniper stamp of approval right there. Double stamp and the triple stamp. You can't double stamp a triple stamp. You can't double stamp a triple stamp. Today, we've had a lot of fun random little tangents today as we move along to Saturday. Thistledown. Matt, fun card over there at Thistledown.
Yeah.
We got the Ohio Derby and then a couple other stakes races. And we'll take a look at the Ohio Derby in a minute, regardless of if we've got plays in there or not. But
I have a play in there.
Yeah.
All
beautiful.
Right.
And it's a good race. It's a really good renewal. So I've got one in the 10th and 11. How about for you at Thistledown, Matt? And how about for you, Barry?
I got 2 and 9.
2 and 9. Barry, what about for you?
I have 9 and I think it's 11, right?
9 and 11. Okay, let's start in 2. We'll go 2, 9, 10, 11 to make our way through the card. And Matt, let us know. Who do you want to start with in this second?
Yeah, so we'll start with the 2 in the 2. Which I like doing actually quite a bit. I always feel good when I'm like, I have the 5th horse in the 5th race. It's going to work out perfectly. It never does, but I like
Vin Scully, right? The deuces are wild.
Exactly. Yeah. So race 2 is a $38,000 state restricted allowance for 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 3. It's 5.5 furlongs on the dirt. And I'm going to identify the number 2, Doug's Morning Pick. Shout out to my best friend in elementary school, Doug Maidenford, who I always think about when I see that. But it is 12-1. Doug's Morning Pick is 12-1 on the morning line, only going to cost you $750. Here's why I kind of like this horse. This horse has been kicking around for a while, but got a little bit of a boost, it looked like, when it changed barns. and started to run pretty well in those like mid-July, August 3rd, August 17th races, turned in some pretty nice efforts and looked to be kind of improving it and doing a little bit better. And then had the real long layoff, the 10-month layoff, and just comes back June 8th. I think you can just kind of toss that effort on June 8th and just kind of say that this horse needed that effort. But I think there's a lot to like there in terms of looking before that. And if this horse can return to the form it had running in some of those claiming and state restricted allowance races before that, I think it'll be fine. I think 5.5 furlongs is actually his preferred distance. I think shorter the better with this horse. There's not a lot else in this field, honestly, that I have questions about some of the other horses in this field. You have one horse that ran a 91 last time out, but that was a year and a half ago. And, you know, it's coming back from a really long layoff. You have other horses that have kind of topped out the low 60 buyer speed figures. So there's nothing that overwhelming that this horse is really kind of running up against and should sit a nice trip off the pace. So I think for 12-1, you're getting decent value on a horse that's shown, at least in recent form, that it can be competitive in these spots. And as we've talked about before, as much as we like to give out winners, and we do, we also just like to give out a 12-1 horse that might come in second or third, because that's a really good value playing Stable Duel. If you find a horse that only costs you $750 that ends up getting you 25 points, 35 points, that's a win for you in your stable, because now it puts a lot less pressure on the other horses in your stable for that day to overperform or anything like that. So I like Doug's morning pick in this spot. I think, just like I said, good value. The race should set up nicely. I think a return to form from last August will suit well.
How about this one? Zelensky, which was reminding me, that's Tommy Boy.
It
Zelensky
is Tommy Boy.
Auto
It's
Parts.
funny when you mentioned that earlier. I was like, oh, I have a connection to that later.
I was like, Zelensky Auto Parts. I make auto parts for the working man, whatever. The Dan Aykroyd. That's so funny.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that right now. So let's see if we can get Doogie Doog home for Matt and his buddy, Doug, old friend Doug.
Yeah.
You got to put a few bucks for Doug on this horse, right?
Exactly. You got to.
You got to put a few bucks for.
Every
for
time I hear Doug, I think of the cartoon that used to be on.
Oh yeah,
I
was funny.
I was like 2 years too old for that or something.
Yeah.
Like I just
Patty
missed that
Mayonnaise.
for some
I was
reason.
just gonna say Patty and Skeeter. Good old Skeeter. Yep. Oh, so you never know where we're gonna go on these Friday mornings. We get you all over the place. There is no other horse racing show like this, because we're gonna give you all prices and we're gonna have a ton of fun while we're doing it. So thanks so much for hanging out with us each and every Friday morning. We dive a little later on into the Thistledown card. I believe we have race 9, right? Is that next on the card for us?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to race number 9, and race number 9 is one of the stakes races on the card. Barry, who are you looking at in this one?
I'm looking at number 8, Big Truck.
Oh, okay.
I think this horse is just very, very consistent. If you look at his past performances of late, going back to like July 7th, 2021, I mean, the horse has been first or second, what was it, 7 times?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, you know, comes off the bench after a layoff from December 27th to May 12th and ran a bang up race in a, you know, a spot probably they weren't even trying to win.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like this is the spot they were going for, even with them running in the stake they ran last time at 100K. I don't think that was the goal, especially coming off of that big of a layoff. I think this was the race that they were looking for. There's plenty of speed in here to keep the pace honest. You have First Song, who has some speed. Is going to attract a lot of attention with IRAD on. You know, even the 2 Relish the Ride has some speed.
Yeah.
Outside of Big Truck, you got Aunt B, and you know that horse would probably want to be forward placed in Longshot Jimtown. So there's enough speed for this horse to run into, and this consistent sort is definitely good to have in a race like this.
Mm-hmm.
And even if this horse doesn't win, I think this horse is either going to be second or third. It's definitely in the money. But I think this horse has a good shot to win also. At 10-1, you're going to have to take a shot here, especially from a Stable Duel perspective.
Yeah, third start of the form cycle should be set for a big effort. Big Truck for the Sniper. How about for you, Matt?
So I really like that pick for Barry, Big Truck. I was between that and the horse I ended up picking, which was the 2 Relish the Ride. And so Relish the Ride is 8-1 on the morning line, and is only going to cost you $3,000 in stable duel. What I like about this horse, Barry mentioned has a little bit of speed, which the horse does, but it doesn't need the lead, and it's not one of those horses, is stretching out for the first time, going from 6 furlongs to over a mile. And a lot of times I can be wary of those types of horses because a lot of times those types of horses are going to be the rabbit in these races and are going to be the pace setter. That's not necessarily the type of running style Relish the Ride has. Likes to be near the lead, but not necessarily on the lead. And so I actually like that for stretching out and doesn't need to, is not going to be kind of too forwardly placed and can kind of sit behind an honest pace, but I don't think an aggressive pace around the track. So I like that. The other thing I like here is the pedigree. The dam in particular. No, not the sire. But the sire's not bad. But
cash some tickets on Mobile back in the day, man.
But the dam in particular, Cryptos Best.
Ooh, not recently. I was gonna say
no,
not all that recently.
But amazingly has produced about 27% winners in dirt routes. And so this is a horse that should like going longer, actually. Even Mobile's progenies are doing better when they stretch out and go longer. So this is a horse that should like the distance, and I like to see that both up top and underneath. So that was good. Like I said, I think the running style is not a problem. It's not one of these 6 furlong horses that you see 1-1-1-1-1-1, all across the running style, running form, and go, okay, well, this horse is going to fade late. This horse can sit off a little bit. I like that. And also, just keeps improving every time out. This horse has not yet run its best race, I don't think, has finished in the money 5 out of its 6 career efforts. So always seems to turn in an honest effort. This is no doubt a step up. But I just, I like it. I think Barry and I both, would like to take a shot in this race. I think because it does seem like you can beat the favorite here. And so I'm going to go with the 2 Relish the Ride.
Relish the Ride in race 9 for Matt. Big shout out to our buddy Jake with thrillingpicks.com. He's always having fun with us watching these streams and posting some funny memes and gifs along the way. I feel like he's our Jake from State Farm. Like he should come in with the red shirt, and we should have a Jake from Thrilling Picks. So Jake from State Farm over there. Thanks for hanging in with us, Jake, as we move along. I've got one right next door in race 10, and then we'll take a look at the Ohio Derby in race number 11. And fellas, I promise I didn't force it here. I was thinking about it with J-Lo, but I couldn't make a case for poor J-Lo can dance here. I was like, I would have had a lot of options. I could have stood up and shaken it a little bit if I wanted, I would have, but no, I'm not going to J-Lo. I'm going to go right next door to J-Lo with the number 8 Microcap.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just look at Microcap's recent form. Look at some of the horses that she's run into in her last 5 starts. So she wins last time out at Churchill, going a mile and an eighth, which I love because we know that she can get a mile and an eighth. And I love the trip that she sat in winning, right? I'm always looking for horses who have that kind of style where they can sit close. If they go a little fast, they're still fine. If they go too slow, they're still fine. They're in striking range. And I think that's who Microcap is. 2 starts back, she runs into Juju's Map, who absolutely freaked that day. Juju's Map crushed and was one of the more impressive performers on the undercard there on Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks weekend. So she runs into Juju's Map there. Couple starts back, she runs into Temper Time, who in that race on April the 9th at Keeneland, the Temper Time race, there was like no passing in this race. Temper Time and Into Vanishing and Family Time were all up front early on. They were all forwardly placed, and there just wasn't a whole lot of movement. And Microcap was like a little bit too far back, in early on in that race after getting bumped at the start. So now we look at the last 3 races, and we can understand all 3 of them. Let's go 4 races back. Who did she run into? Clairiere. Maybe, like a top 2 or 3 older mare right now.
Yeah.
So her last 4 starts, one of them is good, but the other 3, legit excuses. We've got chasing a lone speed, super impressive winner in Juju's Map. We've got a slow start getting bumped on a good track at Keeneland in a race where there's no passing. and then a race where you start your year, you're coming off the bench for your first start in 5 months. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's Clairiere. Meet like a top 2 or 3 mare this year.
Yeah.
Enjoy your first start off the bench in a few months. You dig even a little deeper. She ran into Matarea down here.
Yep.
She has run into some of the absolute current best, like really nice horses. So this is when this horse was really sharp and had won 3 races in a row. She's run into good horses at good times. And I think it's a really nice spot for microcap at that price of 8-1. She's only going to cost us $3,000 in our stable dual lineup. So I'm sorry, Jenny, because if somehow you knew, I'm going to microcap. No doubt about it. 8-1 for me.
I'm glad you didn't dance, though. We didn't want to have
I was going to say,
because hurt yourself, and it would have got ugly,
and
man.
shake the booty a little bit, like back. There could have been some back problems.
I gotta just imagine, like, when like the feed cuts off and it's just like beep. It's just like we've lost.
It's like no twerking allowed. The FTC has shut us down, bro.
They just cut me right off right there.
Yeah,
like,
no Gino twerking. That's not what's hot.
Call on this one. Nothing like this can be streamed from Stable Duel anymore, Gino. I don't want to see you twerking up there as we twerk our way on over to the finale at Thistledown on Saturday, the Ohio Derby, which, guys, this is a good race. This is a really good graded stakes race. It came up live. The 2 Brigadier General is going to be scratched out, but we're still going to have a strong field. You've got Baris from the inside, who's a really nice New York bred and a horse who actually did not run all that bad in the Wood Memorial. You got Droppin' G's, who can pass horses. You've got Ethereal Road, who won impressively in the Sir Barton at a time when nobody was passing horses at Pimlico that day. Mm-hmm. It was like all speed. And he was one of the few who came from way, way out of it. White Abario is your Florida Derby winner who ran in the Kentucky Derby. Pineapple Man is another nice New York bred who hasn't done a whole lot wrong. Tawny Port, graded stakes winner who ran in the Derby. Classic Causeway, multiple graded stakes winner who ran in the Derby. Barry, this race came up salty for the Ohio Derby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the level, this is probably as good as it gets. I mean, these horses, this is where they all fit, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's very, very evenly matched. Now, with the scratch of Brigadier General, that really makes my decision even easier to go with Classic Causeway.
Yeah.
I think this horse just has a pace advantage over the rest of them. If he can break like he did at Tampa, the 2 races at Tampa that he had, and gets to the lead that easily, I don't think there's anybody that can beat him here. He's done it before, beat White Abario in sort of a similar fashion. Way back, I want to say it was
that November
at Churchill. Yeah.
Churchill,
at Churchill, he kind of did that, and I think this could be a replay of that race, and those 2 finished 1-2. But I got to go with the longer price, 6-1 on top. It's go time.
Yep. And Matt, one thing you were pointing out earlier in the year when Classic Causeway was on the road to the Derby was what a fantastic starter he was.
Oh,
he was like
unbelievable.
Quicker horses at getting out and opening up. It was super impressive.
It was. And I mean, I know Barry watched him run in person down at Tampa a couple of times. And while the horse is not fast, the horse is maybe quick is a good way to describe it. Like the horse can get out really well. It just doesn't have great top end speed necessarily, but yeah, I mean, I think the race kind of does set up pretty nicely for Classic Causeway here at a little bit of a price. You're now at a new barn with Ken McPeek. Went from Brian Lynch to McPeek, and I should say as soon as I started putting confidence in Ken McPeek horses in the Belmont, things went down south, and so so I was making a lot of money fading Ken McPeek's stable all Derby Trail. And then I got on Creative Minister and everything went to shit. So, so that's why I'm not going to be on Classic Causeway in this race. But the logic makes a lot of sense. I do wonder how much Pineapple Man, tries to go as well, and how much, how much he tries to maybe push things or be, where he's going to get placed early. But Gino, I'm going to go with the horse you mentioned. I'm going to go with Ethereal Road. And because I was at Pimlico that day. and nobody was passing from behind. Absolutely nobody. And I admit that Sir Barton Field was not that overwhelming. I don't think B-Dawk is the second coming of any great horse, but still, nobody was doing it in any race.
No.
And I mean, we're to the point where ridiculous early fractions were holding up on dirt that you would just go, well, these horses are going to fade, and they wouldn't. And for Ethereal Road to make up the amount of ground he did that day, I think you can just draw a line through the Lexington. That was on a 1-week layoff. I mean, chalk it up to the coach just running them whenever he wants. But I think you can draw a line through that Lexington, and then I think that Sir Barton looks really, really good. And I think if there's a little bit of pace with Classic Causeway and Pineapple Man, then maybe there's a shot that for Ethereal Road. I think the thing is, I think White Abarrio is going to get bet down from 7-2.
Yeah,
he's a grade 1 winner. That's
exactly. So that's why I think all of these horses, whether it's Classic Causeway, whether it's even Tawny Port, who I would imagine might even float up a little bit, or Ethereal Road, I think you're going to get a decent and honest price on a lot of these horses that you wouldn't in any other chance, because White Abarrio is going to take on so much money, because our boy Mike is going to be just throwing dollar bills at White Abarrio on
no doubt. Dollar bills. They're probably gonna be rolled up.
Yeah, smoke, cash.
Roll those bad boys up and then throw the green on over to White Abarrio.
You know what's funny about Ethereal Road, and I'll probably eat my words on this, but I made it a note, or like a point of contention, to never bet anybody that's lost to Unhoho. And if Ethereal Road wins, that's really gonna throw my theory out of the window.
You're gonna have to rip that one up and start over again afterwards.
That's a great theory, though, man.
You lose to a one-eyed horse. Come on, But do you think that the connections of Rich Strike send Ethereal Road a postcard or like a thank you card?
Man, they should send him half the purse.
I was going to say, like, a little bit of a thank you for giving us the opportunity, because I don't know this or not. I don't know what the future is for Rich Strike. I don't know if he'll win races again or not, but we see this happen a lot in racing, and in particular in the Kentucky Derby of races, where you can see something kind of crazy happen, and then we may not see that horse win again, right? Like the circumstances have to be kind of perfect, especially because once you win the Derby, every time you lose a race after that, you become less valuable.
Yeah.
So you end up kind of being in this tricky spot where, like, you run poorly once, twice, maybe 3 times. It's like, okay, we're not going to keep doing this because we like lose all of our value. Or maybe you end up in a claimer like we've seen other horses,
which is crazy because, he didn't run that bad in the Belmont, to be honest. He just didn't have the setup that he had in the Derby. Right. And, I was thinking that maybe, going forward, Eric Reed just may want to get an entry in there and get a rabbit to make sure that pace is fast for him to run into.
Enough to at least be able to, because he's always shown the same sort of thing.
Yeah, same move every time.
Style. It's just the Derby was the race where things were so crazy for him that he took advantage. But even in the races where he didn't win, he ran fine.
Yeah,
he just didn't run like quite as good as some of the other top 3-year-olds, or what we would have thought was like a Triple Crown winning performance, which he ended up jumping up, running that big one. But yeah, it's amazing to think of Ethereal Road. I'll always think of him as the horse who let Rich Strike in, right?
Yeah,
jerk and
jerk.
Because we did all those preview shows, and so many people didn't even talk about Rich Strike because he wasn't in the body of the field at that time. Right. We're going through every horse in the race, and at the moment when everybody recorded their shows, like on Wednesday and Thursday early in the week, he wasn't in. So people weren't even, and he wasn't like an also eligible that people were like, if Rich Strike gets into the Derby, I'm telling you, he's my horse, right? Like, I'm waiting for him. So Ethereal Road, maybe he will have a big moment here in winning his Derby, the Ohio Derby. I go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I want to give a quick shout out to White Abarrio's ownership group, C2 Racing Stable. If you want to find a kind of an ownership group to root for, they're
awesome.
They're awesome. They're great with fan outreach, but they also, I cannot tell you the number of times they have given money to get horses out of kill pens and to save horses that are kind of in a really bad spot, and just throw, just giving thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to those things, and to just different organizations that are doing that work. So really awesome organization and really good people there. So while we are, while at least Barry and I are maybe fading White Barrio a little bit, certainly rooting for those connections. It's hard to root against them.
Yeah, shout out. Awesome stuff there. We see them sending really cool swag all over the place to fans, and that's the way you're supposed to do it there. So good luck to the connections with White Barrio. There were 2 horses I'm kind of debating between using in my stable duel lineup. The 1 and the 3 are the 2 just sort of based on their prices. Mm-hmm. So the 3 dropping G's, I don't think he's nearly as classy as a few of the top horses in here, but I'm pretty confident that he's going to pass some horses late in here. I think just based on the way that the running style is and the way the race shapes up, there'll probably be a couple horses that are just a little bit tired. He can pass some horses late. So in a stable duel situation at 8,000, at 8-1 and only 3,000, he's fine. A horse who, if you're playing like pick 4s and pick 5s, I am a little bit intrigued by the rail horse a bit, because I think he's sneaky. And in his last start, I think we can kind of put a line right through it going 6.5. He's going to actually stretch back out now to 1 mile and 1/8, where I feel like he'll be more forwardly placed. Look at how good that Wood Memorial looks now.
I was going to say, technically, that was his best race going that far against the best competition.
Yeah, that race stacks up really, really well right now. He sat the exact type of trip that I would want him to sit in here. It just, when the real running started, there were 4 horses in front of him who were better, and we look at all of them. Mo Donegal came back and won the Belmont, early voting, won the Preakness, and Skippy was in the money there. Like, that's a loaded field that he faced. And I've always been a big fan of Kendrick Carmouche. I know he's sort of had some issues recently, like just not getting as many of the mounts as he was before, but I feel like I always got a great run for my money with him. He's a very good, aggressive rider who gets horses forwardly placed. And I'll take a look at the 1 in pick 4s. And if you're building your stable duel lineup and you need to go in a different direction and not spend up as much, I would go 3 or even Barry with Classic Causeway now, especially with the scratch of Brigadier General. Because what's nice with Classic Causeway is you sort of, what you're going to get. You're going to get him to get out fast, get over, take him as far as he can go, and if he gets the type of pace scenario, he clears this field and he wins easily. If they go a little too fast, he probably fades and finishes 3rd or 2nd, right? But he's still in a really good spot to give you a good run for your money. So I would definitely be using him in all exotics and late exotics. And like if you wanted to play from a win end against Winnebario, I would be okay with it. I thought you could use a few. Like I would use the 1, 4, and 8 if I was playing like a pick 4 or a pick 5 and trying to beat White Barrio, who I think might get bet a little bit. All 3 of those horses I feel like are pretty good, like live alternates if you wanted to take a shot against. This is a good Ohio Derby. It really is like a strong grade 3 for Thistledown. So a shout out to them on a weekend that, there's not a whole lot of other major racing going on. So it's a good weekend for them to be the spotlight and to get some eyes on them over the next few weeks. We won't have a whole lot of Southern California, which is great for California racing. They need it out here. If you saw what happened on Sunday and over the weekend before Santa Anita finished up, they had big fields. They had big races because a lot of horses knew in the connection. Well, the horses didn't know. The connections knew they weren't going to be able to run for about a month. So Golden Gate just closed down a few weeks, not closed down, but they closed for the year a couple weeks ago. And so now it's the fair circuit happening in Northern California. There's only a little bit of racing at Los Alamitos. There's not a whole lot of turf. So until Del Mar starts, it's a good little break for a lot of horses in California. In fact, you actually may see some of these horses go elsewhere. You may see them show up other places because their connections ship them when they have another 1 or 2. So we'll hit Del Mar in a few weeks when they start back up for stable duel games. But until then, it'll be kind of fun to talk some Gulfstream and maybe focus on 1 or 2 other tracks these next few weekends, like we got to do this weekend, talking a little Penn, talking a little Thistledown. Always love talking with the fellas, Barry and Matt. Barry, what do you got going on this weekend, buddy?
Absolutely nothing, and that's fantastic.
Awesome. Kick those feet up and chill. You got to take your vacation from the vacation that you had last week, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Matt,
worn out.
Yeah. Beautiful. What's on tap for you this weekend, Maddie?
Yeah, not a lot, but I do want to give a shout out to Colin Sheehan, who's a really good guy on Twitter. And I just actually recorded something with him last night that'll be out later today, which is like kind of a really in-depth Stable Duel breakdown of like how to, how the strategy behind building stables and really digging into some of the details, like going a little bit beyond just the introductory stuff. So that'll be out, I think later today, actually. So that'll be kind of a nice, helpful video that people can always refer back to when they're getting started. It's not time sensitive at all. So whenever people want to dip their toe into Stable Duel or just want to learn a little bit more about it, they can watch that. But otherwise, I got a lot of nothing going on this weekend, which is fantastic. Although I have to explain to my 2 dogs because the Westminster Dog Show is this week.
Oh, there we go.
They're mad.
I'll tell you why they're mad. They are now 2 different breeds of dogs. So they are Jack Russell Terriers. But here's the thing. Jack Russell Terriers no longer exist.
They split.
The AKC has split them up into Russell Terriers and Parson Russell Terriers. One of mine is a Russell. One of mine is a Parson Russell. They are very distraught by this.
Oh my gosh.
They are not the same breed anymore. And so this might explain actually why they don't like each other very much. But
their whole world got rocked now.
Yeah, whole world got rocked. So
they don't even know what to identify as anymore. This feels like a problem like we're dealing with in society right now. A lot of people don't know who they are.
In many ways.
These poor dogs.
And and shout out to Donna Brothers from NBC, who she's got a Jack Russell Terrier, and she and I were going back and forth on social media about this as well. She's like, well, what are they now? And so I was trying to explain to her what they were. But other than calming the dogs down, I'll be all right.
They can identify with whatever they want to. They feel like they can.
They're good with us. They're all good with us.
I'll tell you, my little one identifies as a pit bull. That's what she identifies as.
There you go.
He's a mean SOB. And so
Salt.
Well, folks, we hope that you get involved in a bunch of these Stable Duel games all weekend long. They're a lot of fun to kick back and enjoy a Friday, enjoy a Saturday, enjoy a Sunday. I always like to go in and see early in the week what the schedule looks like. I can kind of plot my week out. I can start handicapping a couple early on, or any day that you're doing that. I know right now Assiniboia Downs is a track a lot of people are having fun with on the evenings, playing early in the week.
Oh, that's Mr. DeSantis is
Mr. DeSantis
pleasure right there.
He loves that. He loves it. Although he's a little pissed off at Bree. I'll be honest with you. He was a little upset. He's like, I don't know about these $10 games. Where are these $2 games that I like?
Okay. He wants some of the little. Okay, so we'll get some of the low dollar games so he can really have some fun there. And shout out to everyone watching. Thanks, Jake, so much for hanging out with us. I knew we were going to get the Jake from State Farm meme coming right afterwards. So we'll be back again with you next Friday. And you know what I'm going to do this weekend? A little twerking.
Oh, no.
I think so.
Oh, no. No chalk zone, no twerk zone.
Oh, no. Here we go. Let's get out of
here.
No
chalk zone.
No chalk zone. No twerk zone. But you know what it is? It is the Joey Cleveland zone. Let's finish up like always with our anthem, the Joey Cleveland Stable Duel theme song.
Better, you want to spread your pony.